From everything from Kasharte La, the Draco Slayer archetype, the Dark World stuff, Drytron profiles to drop, Exorcister combos to drop, local videos to drop. There's so much to talk about that I'm just going to go one by one. And we had to start with Tribrigade Scareclaw because everybody voted on this one. So let's talk about it, shall we? Let's get it. So I think obviously, guys, in touching on the Tribrigade stuff, I really feel like it's a very, very interesting mix with Scareclaw, and I wanted to talk about it simply because of the OTK potential, the combo potential that's already there, and just how seamlessly they all flow together. So starting off with Rescue Cat in the first combo that we're going to show, we essentially tributed it off as you always see, but this time to start off with, I just wanted to show the Tribrigade version a little bit, simply because, well, getting out a kit and getting out an Acro is really super easy. Acro is obviously one of the names in case you forgot that, but from there you're linking off the Acro into a Liked Heart. Now, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, as soon as Liked Heart actually coming out very soon, it's going to essentially lift this deck to a whole nother stratosphere of being able to add cards, profit off of cards, because this is a very, very powerful new Link 1 that's going to work well into this combo. Now, getting back into the combo, you didn't get to add Primitive Planet Rhycophobia, which you guys already know adds another Scareclaw monster, which this time we're going to add Rhycart. And then from there, you're going to special summon out the Rhycart into the same kind of column. And you guys already know about all the Scareclaw stuff, don't have to kind of mention that. But then from there, this time, in this combo, we're adding Scareclaw Splash, which essentially is an interrupt on your opponent's turn by being able to essentially negate a card or effect. From there, moving on, you would essentially try to extend further into the Tribrigade stuff. This is why I'm starting off with this one, because I feel like Farrajet is the correct card to go into, and then from here, Kid is going to trigger to then essentially get your other engine going, and that essentially is dump Nerval add Fractal, and then from there you're just going through pretty much standard stuff that you already know from Tribrigade, but then using the Fractal that you just special summoned out, banishing 2 to then make a Bear Brum, and then from there the Bear Brum is going to help you to connect a lot of things. Now obviously you can discard almost pretty much anything, but from here you're just going to essentially try to add a Raid Raptor card and or a Blackwing, and from here the Blackwing is why I'm showing this first, is because I wanted to show the reason why I'm playing it. From here you get to dump 2 cards. I'm just going to call the Ash Blossom one of the cards, but obviously the Zephyros is another card, and this is why I'm playing it in this deck, just because it fits so well into the deck and obviously can trigger off some of the other effects like Karas. But then from there you're just pretty much extending through the rest of the combo, Kit being able to trigger off some stuff. And then from there, it's just the standard combos that you guys already know. This time, I feel like necessarily in the deck, you have to play 2 Rhycart if you're going to play the mix. And then from the end board, you essentially always want to end on a Revolt, which I feel like is a 3 of. I'm still messing around with ratios. Obviously, with the Scareclaw Splash, the double Rhycart, to be able to trigger off a lot of the other stuff. But essentially, Scareclaw Tryhard, a double Dragon Lords, a Splash to be able to interrupt your opponent a little bit. This guy can be a little bit unaffected if you had a further setup. And then the Revolt, obviously, to back all that up, as well as the other cards in your hand, is just really nuts. Speeding up a little bit, I wanted to show what happens when you just have Fractal, because Fractal still is the full combo. It's just a roundabout way of getting there. Obviously, pitch to dump Kit, to dump Nerval to add Kuras, and then from there, this is why I'm playing DD Crow, by the way, because I feel like more Wing Beast naturally in a hand trap form as well kills 2 birds with 1 stone, and DD Crow isn't that bad of a card that it won't get over for you. Anyways, getting back to the combo, Karas pitching said Wing Beast, whatever that Wing Beast may be, can help you essentially have 4 names in the graveyard very quickly, which helps you go essentially into Omen, which then you get to link off to go into the Link Blossom, or the Baron Blossom. I always call it Link Blossom. I do that every single time. And then trigger off Omen, and then extend out into Rescue Cat. And then the standard combo that you guys already know, Farrajet to special summon out pretty much any of these, Beast Warrior, Wing Beast, all that type of stuff. And then tribute off Rescue Cat. And then essentially got the same style of combo. This time we're focusing specifically on the Scareclaws. And then link into the big Link 3, Tryhard, which is going to help you to again add a card and then put it back, and then say you add a card like Arrival, that's going to really blow the roof off of what you could draw. But in this specific case, I just wanted to show the baseline of everything and triggering off the Tri-Heart to be able to special summon something back and then add the right card essentially gets you to another spell or trap card and another interrupt, which you're going to basically end on. Moving on to the next combo, again, I wanted to show another variation of Rescue Cat doing the same exact thing, this time showing off the Link 1 again, to then add the Planet Racophobia, to then add the Reichardt. This time we're adding Arrival and then linking off into the big Link 3 and then activating Arrival to then be able to special summon something back, then trigger this effect to further extend. So basically Rescue Cat is always going to equal one extra name. It can generate two names, so therefore that ghost plus one of a name is always going to be there. Continue on with the combo, being able to trigger both effects, then activate Arrival to then get another name onto the field, add another name, then add another name onto the field, and then essentially when you have three of these, remember that you have big locks onto the field in some capacity, depending on what the cards are. But being able to basically have a wall of monsters, a wall of cards, and then let's say you have a Reichardt that you're ending on, as well as another level 4, maybe you can end on a Fractal but you haven't used anything. A Baguska lock is very, very, very strong because Baguska behind the Tri-Heart is very, very strong. Essentially continuing on with the combo, this is what happens when you have essentially one Scareclaw name. Just wanted to show the Scareclaw stuff by itself. It's the same combos over and over again. A Link 1, you go from a Scareclaw into a Link 1, and then you just essentially Link climb, jumping up the board again, and then from there extending into the same kind of thing. Again, if you have two level 4s, you can end on Baguska lock with this is really, really good, just because everybody being in defense, being unable to change, and he's unaffected by anybody that's in defense. It's just a soft lock that if they don't have Dark Ruler, Droplet, or a Chalice or something, they're pretty much screwed, just to be honest with you. But essentially it's either that or end on multiple names and then multiple setups to be able to clap back on your opponent. The clap back in this deck is essentially why you're doing everything, as well as just trying to lock your opponent out with relatively minimal commitment, I guess is the word that I'm looking for, but that remains to be seen. As far as continue on the combos a little bit, I wanted to show Starfrost as well as Astra, and essentially in this combo you're trying to get to Baron as fast as possible. Unfortunately, I feel like this deck won't be meta for this specific fact that the mix doesn't help you to get to the 5th summon that quickly. So essentially it's a name into the Link, the primitive into another name, which is going to be Reichardt that you're going to add, to then add Splash. From there, special summoning out the Starfrost. So you already have kind of creeped up over the name. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're already, because you have a Starfrost on the field, you can special summon this back and you're already at 5. That's 5 right there. So if they're going to nib you, they're going to nib you very hard right there, and if they don't, well, you just lost, because Baron LaFleur is going to essentially lock away everything. And this is where the fun comes, because like Hark's second effect is once per turn, but the first effect is not. Therefore, every time that you can link this card, you can link into another one to essentially add 2 cards. Am I right? I mean, I'm just saying. It's pretty strong. Then going into essentially another name, the next turn is for follow-up. The engine is pretty self-sufficient, so basically having a negate as well as another negate in front of that, and this is just usually off of 1 or 2 cards. This isn't bad. Any kind of further opening with the Tribrigade stuff, you're ending on Revolt, you're ending on Appaloosa, and much, much more. It's just the essential stuff that you should be ready for. Obviously, I wanted to mention the field spell as well. When you control those 3 monsters, as I talked about earlier, you get to target a card your opponent controls and destroy it on your turn. It's a slow effect, not a quick effect, but it's still very, very strong in being able to push through stuff, because usually having the big Link 3 on the board, having used enough materials, you have huge OTK potential. about as high as it gets other than Adagnister. Last but not least, wanted to show what happens when you open V-Size Starfrost and Rescue Cat. Pretty much the same combo, normal summoning Rescue Cat and then tributing it off to special summon out 2 Scareclaw monsters. Obviously, your hand will change a little bit. If you have Tribrigade stuff, that would be the route that you take that. From there, you're linking off the Astra into, it doesn't really matter, but linking off into Like-Heart to then add another Primitive. Primitive is going to add a Like-Heart again. Then from there, special summoning out the V-Size Starfrost, tributing off the Like-Heart just because you're going to be able to bring it back. Special summoning out another name. This is again where you get that pop, guys. If you remember what I had just said, adding a rival is going to help you to extend through a nib, just in case you get nibbed before you really get to where you want to get to. It's going to possibly help you come back. It just depends on, again, what the rest of your hand is, and these are baseline combos, guys. Take that into account. Essentially continuing on, being able to add that Scareclaw rival, and then from here, because of all of the cards, now obviously, guys, when you see a crazy ass draw like Fractal, that's going to pretty much extend even further than what you were doing. Maybe you would try to modify the combo. For this combo, I'm just going to go ahead and finish this one out. Whatever the card you draw can obviously morph everything that you have. If I say you draw a Karaz, that's what I mean. It literally can change everything about your hand, but the baseline itself is the same, so I have to show that. Again, going into Baron, you try to get into Baron as fast as possible. Usually you're not going to get there, but you will have some extension, as I said before. And then from there, Scareclaw Arrival is going to help you to actually get the Starfrost back. And then from there, I feel like something really, really cool to do, which I'll note here in a second. Essentially adding another card to be able to load up for the next turn. You always do that. Try to always play multiples of the Like-Heart when it comes out. But essentially going into a Hulk, then going into a Tuner, and then going into an inboard of an Appaloosa is just really, really strong. That's just me, guys. I think that's really, really strong. Let's get into some of the cards and choices and what you would want to select. Alrighty, guys, so in getting to the end portion of the video, I wanted to show just the list that I've been kind of goofing around with, and this is by no means perfect. This is just literally an idea that a few friends of mine have been discussing, and I just wanted to try the list out. They mentioned Zephyros, and I really loved it because I love the Raid Raptor stuff, but I still don't know about it, and there's much more that I want to try out, which I'll get to when I get down here. As far as that is concerned, Zephyros the Elite, triple DD Crow, triple Rescue Cat. For the ratios of the Scareclaws, I feel like the names are all like, they don't do anything by themselves, but they're just fodder. They end up being fodder for something, whether that be Bear Brum, whether that be Karas, whether it just be a name to get onto the field or spam out onto the field. It's normally, these just don't matter. The Like-Heart 100% matters, and that's why I feel like you have to play more than one, because there's some combos where 2 comes up that you clearly will understand if you've seen any of those combos. Fractal, I feel like, is the 3 of, and then from here, I really have to mess around with the numbers, because I feel like Nerval might not be the 3 of, it might be Kit, it might be Kuras, because each and every time you may want to have this in your hand to then have a free body to special summon out on the field. So I feel like if you're gonna fix one thing, it may be the Nerval needs to be like the 1 of or the 2 of, or these all can be 2 of, or this can be a 1 of and a 1 of if you want to be minimalist. And then you maximize on these, you can minimize, it just depends. It's going to take you messing around with it a lot more than my dumb ass. As far as continuing on, I feel like 1 V-Size Starfrost, just because you can get to it however you need to get to it, whether that be to special summon it out if it's in the grave, or if you have Ruined Realm. When Terralements comes out, it can add V-Size Starfrost. Don't forget about that. That's why I'm trying out the set rotation, because everybody is already kind of on some stuff with mine, and who knows if this will be here in the future. But essentially having this many field spells in a compact deck, I feel like it's definitely something you have to try, as well as maybe an upstart or something. That's up to you. Call by the Grave, Tinkies, Mystic Mind, the Realm that I mentioned before, Rhycophobia to be able to add a V-Size Starfrost, or a Scareclaw. So essentially this is just another copy basically, or you can just play 3 of these guys. Doesn't really matter. Arrival to get cards back onto the field, whether they be Starfrost himself or a Scareclaw. The set rotation, as I had mentioned before. The Splash is a card that I feel like you should definitely try it, and I don't really like this other one. It's okay. but tributing 3 Scareclaw monsters and then making your opponent stop being able to do something, I don't know, guys. It's kind of okay. I want to get straight to the point with some of the stuff. As far as some of the other stuff I wanted to mention, we had talked at length about minimizing the branded stuff. You guys have seen this if you've seen the Despia branded stuff. It's not really possible without Anaconda anymore, but what is possible is to play these 3 cards here because they're basically ghost card advantage in a 3-card form. Essentially with the Mercurier, you have an ability to stop your opponent's effects, as well as just have a ghost advantage floating back to your hand. Obviously you guys know about Albion, and these 3 cards together is how you do that. Leviair is a card I wanted to mix into at least talking about, just because there's so many level 3s and there's times where stuff gets banished, obviously because of the Tribrigade stuff, and then you'd be able to loop it back onto the field. So if you weren't going to make a cut down here somewhere, it's definitely something you want to consider. As far as some of this other stuff, Revolt at 3 you may want to try. The Scareclaw Straddle is definitely going to possibly be a card you want to add in the future. Rhoda, if you really are struggling to get to specific stuff and you want to get to a Rykard is a warrior. Unfortunately, Visai Starfrost is a level 6 warrior, so you couldn't add that directly. And then essentially the rest of this stuff is just stuff that I feel like hasn't quite made the cut. Cards like Doom Eagle that have been in the deck forever in Tribrigade, I just don't see where it fits in here. I definitely feel like Hulk does fit in here, but that's something you got to mess around with. Maybe a third Heart. Salomon Great Almirage isn't really needed, and the rest of these are just cards that I have been playing myself that have been working for me. Definitely feel like Heart at 3 is something you may want to visit, but as far as this other stuff, it's just minimalist to say the least. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Pegasus signing out. Arrivederci.